Under God by William C. Hendricks. Chapter 3. Civil Governments Compared. Important ideas to look for. Our type of government is one of many. God may use one man or many to control government. Some countries may not be ready for democracy. Democracy demands an educated, responsible citizenry. Types of civil government. Throughout the ages, many types of civil government have existed. There have been areas of the world where there was anarchy, lawlessness, or a lack of government. In the absence of government, each person would do as he pleased. Other countries have had governments that believed in the concept of laissez-faire. This term literally means let be or hands off, and refers to government policies of non-interference in certain affairs of the country, such as economics. In nations or in times of little or no government, chaos and confusion could often be found. In contrast, some areas have also been under the complete control of cruel leaders who ruthlessly demanded that everyone conform to their will. Are either of those extremes good? No, for one disregards God's desire for an orderly society, and the other ignores the basic civil rights of each individual to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Let us look differently at the main types of government. Theocracy. This type of government is directly under the rule of God. When God led the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, he showed them the way to go. He led them with a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. The people neither voted on the route they were to take, nor decided when a battle should be fought. They were directly under the government of the Lord. He spoke directly to Moses and continued to reveal his will to the people through the prophets. Although some countries have state religions, there are no theocracies on earth today. Monarchy. We know this is an old type of government because when the Israelites wanted a king, they said to Samuel, "Now, appoint a king to lead us, such as all the other nations have." 1 Samuel 8:5. God consented to the request of the people, but he warned them that at that time that they could expect their king to make heavy demands for their goods and work. History is filled with the stories of monarchs, both wise and foolish, kind and cruel. Some were chosen by the people they would rule, others came to the throne by inheritance. The doctrine of the divine right of kings, most clearly stated by James I of England, held that the king was appointed by God to rule the people. Although this doctrine was often misused by kings to excuse their wrongdoings and strengthen their positions, history shows us that God has long used the office of monarch for the government of people. Monarchies have existed in two different forms, absolute and limited. In an absolute monarchy, the king has complete power over his subjects. King Nebuchadnezzar was such a king. He ordered the astrologers killed, or he spared them as he wished. Although the absolute form of monarchy was quite general in early civilizations, it is almost out of existence today. A limited monarchy is a form of monarchy in which the power of the king or queen is controlled or limited through laws that have been passed by representatives of the people. Today, the Queen of England, for example, has no real power. She's only a formal ruler. The Prime Minister, leader of the majority of the elected representatives, is the head of the government. The oligarchy. An oligarchy is a type of government controlled by a small group of leaders. They may be leaders of the armed forces, or politics, or finance. Often such governments are short-lived because disagreements and jealousies usually arise between these members. No one has complete authority. There is no system of checks and balances, such as the system that exists between the branches of government in the democracy. You will remember that Caesar was stabbed because others within the small group of Roman leaders thought that he was trying to make himself an emperor. An aristocracy is one form of the oligarchy type of government. The upper class of people in a nation are called the aristocracy. In many nations in the past, and in several today, the upper class people are also the rulers of the nation. In a government controlled by the aristocracy, those people who have the most property, the most education, or the most influence generally make the laws to govern the lower class of people. Sometimes the aristocrats assume their leadership through force and deceit, but often they become leaders because of their position and abilities. The oligarchy type of government can serve a nation very well if qualified leaders seek the welfare of the people in a way that is pleasing to God. Democracy. A democratic type of government is one in which the people of a nation have the power to govern themselves either directly or through their elected representatives. Democracy literally means rule by the people. A pure democracy is a government in which every adult citizen has an equal voice in the operation of the country. Such pure democracy was possible in some of the early Greek states whose populations were rather small. Every free person took part in the election of officers, in voting for taxes, and in passing laws. Slaves, however, were not allowed to participate. The pure form of democracy was also used for some time in the local governments of the early towns in New England. Everyone was given an equal voice in the town meeting. A few cantons in Switzerland still use the Citizens' Assembly for deciding matters of public business. A republic is the form of democracy that is most commonly used today. In a republic, the nation is governed by officials who have been elected by the people. Many nations are so large and their populations so great that all their citizens could not possibly have a common meeting place for everyone to discuss the problems of government and make laws. Therefore, a representative democracy or republic is the form of government closest to a pure democracy that the large nations can have. In a republic, as in democracy, the highest authority under God is with the people. Although many nations of today are republics, they use different systems of governing themselves through their elected representatives. Our United States government uses the presidential system. Under this system, the elected officials remain in office for specific lengths of time, regardless of whether they have the support of Congress. Under the parliamentary system, however, government leaders depend upon the constant support of the elected assembly for their position in office. A dictatorship is like an absolute monarchy. It is governed by just one individual who has complete authority over his people. The position of a king is usually inherited, but the position of a dictator is generally gained with the aid of an influential friend or by force. Whenever any government allows no other political groups to exist, the government is said to be a totalitarian. We must recognize, however, that it is almost an impossible for an absolute monarch or dictator to rule completely alone, as it is for all citizens in democracy to have rights that are absolutely equal. Comparison of governments. After discussing these types and forms of governments, we should ask, which do you like best? Or perhaps a better question would be, which one actually is the best? To answer this, we have to say that the one that governs best, the one that is the best servant of God for good, and best bears the sword to punish evildoers, we believe that for us the democracy or the republic, which is a representative democracy, is best able to do this. Our form of government is based upon the values of each individual citizen. The Declaration of Independence states that each citizen has received the inalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness from the Creator. We believe that our Constitution gives our people the dignity and the rights and freedoms and the opportunity that God intends them to have. However, before a republic can provide liberty and justice for all its people, it must have a high rate of literacy, the ability to read and write, because people are expected to vote intelligently in a republic. They should be literate and well educated. Most important of all, before a nation can govern itself successfully in a republic, the people must be able to assume responsibility unless the citizens of the nation are willing to be loyal, faithful, obedient, and able to keep themselves informed. The government is soon subject to corruption and revolution. Not all countries that have tried democracy have found it to be successful. Under such conditions, God may ordain an oligarchy, a monarchy, or even a dictatorship. God can use a few people, or even just one person, to fulfill his will as well as he can use them all. The best form of government for one period of history is not necessarily the best for another, nor is the best form of government necessarily the best form when conditions change. If a nation is overcome by corruption in government office, or by disorder, disobedience, indifference, or apathy among the citizenry, another type of government may be more suitable. Governments of all types and forms are gifts of God, but the gift of the democratic society, composed of a well-ordained, ordered, responsible body of citizens, is the greatest of such benefits. In the 16th century, governments ruled with a rod of iron, and discipline was harsh. Even then, John Calvin believed that the republican form of government was a choice gift of God to man. In his commentary on Samuel, he writes, "And ye, O peoples, to whom God gave the liberty to choose your own magistrates, see to it that ye do not forfeit this favor by electing to the position of highest honor rascals and enemies of God. God has made us in America stewards of the representative form of government. We are guardians of this gift. If you want a republic to continue to be the best form of government for our land, keep and urge others to keep and pledge of loyalty, faithfulness, and obedience to our nation. Do your share as a citizen to see that our nation provides liberty and justice under God." Do you remember what you have read? Give a historical example of each of the 5 types of government. Also try to cite examples from today's world. Number 2. Under what conditions do we say that a country has too little government? Number 3. When does a country have too much government? Number 4. What are the advantages of a republic? Why would it be impossible for our national government to be a pure democracy? 6. What is the difference between the parliamentary and presidential systems of the republic? Matching exercise. Number 1. Government having both a king and elected representative. 2. Government whose total authority is in the hands of a king. 3. Government whose total authority is in the hands of one person who has gained this position with the aid of political friends or by force. 4. Government operated by the highly educated and upper class of the people. 5. Government administered by a small group of people. 6. Government in which all the people have equal voice. 7. Government administered by elected representatives of the people. 8. Ability to read and write, educated. 9. Indifference, a lack of interest. 10. To be obedient, to act according to the wishes or law of other. 11. Worthiness, nobleness, honor. 12. Receive from one's ancestors. 13. Do as one chooses. Non-interference. For further thought, number 1, discuss why many of the newly independent countries of the world do not have democratic forms of government. Number 2, what signs of corruption in our government and apathy among our citizens are evident today? What can Christian citizens do to help overcome these problems? 3. Why are there no real theocracies in the world today? 4. Why might an absolute monarchy or a dictatorship be better than a republic in the uneducated or a corrupt nation? 5. Totalitarian governments are sometimes controlled by one person, such as Germany under Hitler. They can also be controlled by a small political party, such as Russia under communism. Of these 2 types of totalitarian government, which is likely to remain in existence longer? Give a reason for your answer. 6. Some early European monarchs believed in the divine right of kings. They believed A. that God had made them kings, B. that all the people should therefore give them unquestioned obedience, C. that they could do anything they wished with little regard to their subjects. What was right and what was wrong with their beliefs? Words to study: anarchy, democracy, monarchy, parliamentary system, presidential system, rod of iron, theocracy, and totalitarian.